Hi, friends. Welcome to North Pole TV. I'm your host, Mike Dorn, and today we're in Port Credit, Ontario. This is on the outskirts, well, it is part of Mississauga on the lakefront, as you can see. And it's a beautiful spot. It's a nice, warm day. I'm actually quite thankful that it's not sunny. It's overcast because it's been such a crazy hot summer that it's been hard for me to get out. I don't deal with the heat very well, and it's been so sunny and hot that I've kind of avoided days, in the sun talking to people. So today we're here to talk to people about censorship. Right now there's a lot of censorship going on in the mainstream news, but also in the media. You have Facebook and you have YouTube that are censoring people, and Google as well. Search engine results are being restricted on conservatives. And so I'm here today to ask people how they feel about that, whether they feel that social media giants as big as Facebook and YouTube should really be allowed to restrict the voices of conservatives. I think that's... Hi, sir, that's okay. I think if the argument is that they're private companies and they should be able to ban this free speech of whoever they want, which to an extent makes some sense, but then you get into some legal difficulties, like should they really be allowed to ban conservative politicians? The liberal politicians get to go on YouTube and Facebook and say whatever they want, but conservative politicians are being banned. And it also brings up the ethical question of things like, the Christian baker who got told by the court that he has to bake gay wedding cakes. Well, why can they force him to do that, but the companies can be allowed to ban Christian viewpoints on major basic utilities like Facebook and YouTube? There are definitely some ethical and moral questions here. And with Alex Jones and InfoWars recently having been banned off of those major platforms, and many others too, I think there is an issue here that maybe most Canadians aren't even aware of it. Let's find out. We're going to ask people if they're even aware of InfoWars being banned and see what they have to say about it. I'm also going to ask them a third question after we deal with the censorship question about Alex Jones. Possibly, he has talked about considering buying a robot. So the question is going to be about artificial intelligence and whether him or anyone torturing a robot, artificial intelligence on air, whether that would be something they think would be terrible or would be interesting to watch. Myself, I'd like to see that, and just to see people's reactions to it. There are many celebrities, as you know, Elon Musk being one of them, the head of Tesla, who have issued warnings recently in the news about the future of humanity and how artificial intelligence could possibly very badly harm our future, our species. And I agree. I think there's a lot of dangers there that we're not considering and that we need to. So that's what this episode is going to be about. I'm going to see how many people will give me the time of day here to talk about censorship and robots. Okay, hang tight. Okay, so these folks have kindly agreed to the three questions. The first question is about Alex Jones and InfoWars and whether or not you're aware that he's been banned from YouTube and from Facebook.
I'm not aware of any of that, so you're probably asking the wrong person.
That's okay. Just three quick questions.
No, don't have any.
Have you heard of InfoWars or Alex Jones? No, so you have no idea. Okay, and the second question regards conservatives being banned on Facebook and YouTube. Do you feel it's right that big platforms like that everybody should have equal access to, really, even though they are private companies? They're almost like utilities now. Do you feel it's right for them to ban conservative politicians from posting on their platforms?
Well, they can post anything they want. Free speech. Yeah.
As I say, it's a private company, and the companies are banning conservatives now.
I think your question is misleading. You're saying conservatives are banned from YouTube? They're not banned from YouTube.
Some are, not all.
Yeah, well, you're implying that all.
I didn't mean to imply at all. I don't feel it's misleading, but anyway, that's fine, sir. Okay, and the third question is Alex Jones. Okay, artificial intelligence, which you probably heard Elon Musk in the news about recently, saying that artificial intelligence could pose a big threat to humanity in the future. Have you heard about that?
No. You got
Yeah.
the wrong people.
Do you do you feel that that might pose a threat, like as he says?
No, no.
Not at all. Okay, thank you for your time. Okay, so this young lady has agreed to the three questions. So the first question is about Alex Jones and Infowars. Have you heard of them being banned from YouTube and from Facebook?
Oh my goodness, I don't know who that is.
That's an answer. I'm trying to gauge how much people know.
I just didn't know about that aspect.
You know who Alex Jones is, and you
Because I listen to a podcast and he talks about Alex Jones and they've always been combating, but I didn't know that issue though. So.
yeah, actually, Joe and Alex, they go way back. They're friends, and they're kind of on different wavelengths at the moment, but they're not totally at odds. Anyway, so yes, about a week ago, I guess it is, 10 days ago, maybe now. It was on a Sunday night. All of a sudden, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, a bunch of these social media places, they all of a sudden, within 12 hours of each other, they all banned Alex Jones from their platforms. Yep, citing hate speech without actually providing any examples or videos or anything like that to prove their points. And to me, it's like, what is hate speech? But anyway, the second, well, that's it.
What is hate speech nowadays, you know?
Who gets to define it? And it's like hate speech to some people might be something they hate to hear, Well, you can't accuse me of that. I hate that, right? So it's getting kind of crazy. So the second question is, with regards to conservatives being banned, because Alex Jones is a conservative, I guess you could call him that. With regards to conservatives being banned on social media, which really is almost like a utility now, it's not just a small company. It's like a platform that everybody should really be allowed onto. And so they are banning Alex Jones. He has been banned, lifetime ban, they say. Alex Jones has been around about 22 years, something like that, yeah. And started as a small podcast, I guess you'd call it, on internet. And then that changed to I would call him you have mainstream news, and he is like the anti-mainstream news. He will report, and the biggest in the world, he will report on the things that the mainstream refuses to tell you, right? So he's an alternate source of information is what it is, an alternate news agency. And Facebook, like I say, and YouTube and other social platforms are banning him. So my question is, should, say, conservative politicians, would it be right for Facebook to ban conservative politicians from posting on their platform, or YouTube, or would Google be within their rights to block searches for conservative viewpoints? I mean, it gets kind of tricky here, the things that are going on.
Yeah, I honestly think they shouldn't, because I mean, there's a lot more things that needs to be banned in YouTube, and it's not. you know, like there are certain things that you actually watch. Or we were watching it yesterday, and it's like, why is this thing in here? But then it's there.
Can you give us an example of what you're referring to? I don't mean to put you on the spot, just if you had something in mind.
It's like random stuff. Like we saw little kids taking videos and putting it up on YouTube. Well, it's on YouTube. We saw it, and like bullies and stuff like that. You know, so why is that not banned? Meanwhile, somebody who's actually providing news, I don't know him well, but I don't really know him until now. But someone who's giving news that's against mainstream, something totally different, which honestly to me I absolutely love, because it's something that you don't know, right?
Basically stuff they don't want you to hear, and that's why they're banning them, and they're getting away with it. It's crazy.
And I don't actually watch the news because I believe that it's it's controlled. It's not I believe it is, and B, it's so negative. So if you have somebody who's actually stating facts that is not controlled, quote unquote, that's amazing. But of course, because media is obviously controlled, right? They want us to hear what they want us to believe, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people aren't aware that I think there's like 7 big corporations in the world, giant corporations in the world, that control all of the major newspapers and all the radio stations and not radio stations, the TV stations. So everything we see is controlled by 6 or 7 corporations, except for on the internet, you get things like Alex Jones and InfoWars that will give you their perspective on things. And the big guys want to shut him down. So the third question relates to artificial intelligence, which is in the news lately, right? Elon Musk has said it's a danger to humanity in the future, and I agree. I think it is. There are. Were you? You were talking about this morning.
Artificial.
So
It was, yeah, it was, what was it called again? Homunculus. So this alchemist of a guy, he was a scientist, they say. He has like a chicken egg, and he has like human or like sperm, and a syringe. I don't know if it's his. I don't know if it's wherever he obtained it, but he injects the sperm into the human egg.
No, not human egg, chicken egg.
Chicken egg. Sorry. I was trying to get my thoughts together, but he injects the sperm in the chicken egg, and he lets it culture for, what was that, 40 days? 40 days, and he cracks the egg open, and there's like a little human form in there. I don't know, this is not really artificial human life, but like it's insane. It was and then, yeah, so he watches it progress, and by like the 10th day, he's feeding it eggs. It grew a tongue, it grew like an eye, but then
It was in Russia.
it was a Russian, it was a Russian channel, but it was translated on by this guy who was analyzing the video. And then I'm like, okay, knowing myself, I'm like, okay, I take it with a grain of salt. Like, is it really real? Blah blah blah. So, yeah. And then I watch other people a farmer try to literally like copy it, and he tried it with 6 chicken eggs. All of them with either only developed organs and then rot away. So there was this one he cracked open. It was like he developed like a liver in it. There was like a liver inside the egg, but then that was it that developed, and then it was rotten.
And you connected this to the artificial intelligence topic based on what?
It was like no, it was fine. Like we were talking, and it's like, whoa, like this guy was just trying to play God pretty much, and
Okay, playing God, yeah.
creating artificial intelligence. That's kind of borderline, playing God kind of. And
There's coming a day when artificial intelligence machines, robots or whatever, will have the decision making in their software of who lives and who dies. They'll guard a building, and it's a machine guarding a building, and it'll decide, oh, that person is an intruder. They die because they didn't stop when I told them to stop. I don't know if that should be ever allowed. That sounds crazy.
Can I say something quickly? We were watching this thing on Netflix, but actually, I forgot what country it was. There's only robots now that actually handles this hotel. So you go in there, there's just robots everywhere. Yeah, it's on Netflix, some documentary. Anyways, in my hospital here in Toronto, there we have, I don't know, Humber River Hospital, right? Yeah. So we actually have an artificial intelligent robot there.
You do?
We do. And
What does it do?
It's it welcomes people, hey, welcome to Humber. Yeah, you would see it if you go inside Humber. It's named Pepper.
I might have to check that out.
You should. It's actually interesting, but at the same time, being somebody who works there, I want to be anonymous, but somebody who works there, I feel that instead of our hospital putting in money towards this beautiful artificially intelligent robot, I think they should have just put that into our healthcare system. So, there's more nurses who can take care of patients.
Yeah. It sounds expensive, and it sounds like, I could have bought an MRI machine or something, right? Yeah.
So my take to that is that, yes, it's amazing. It's a good leap in science. However, is it really necessary with our population right now, given that the volume of people that's increasing in our city? I think this AI thing is kind of being pushed on us very quickly before we really know how it's going to impact society, and they're sorry? That's within the hospital, right?
Is a place you'd think they'd be a little bit careful of these things. So the question that comes down, the third question, it comes down to Alex Jones, the guy I talked about in first and InfoWars. Alex Jones has proposed, or he's considering, buying one of these artificial robots, like an android. There's one in Saudi Arabia. I forget the name of the robot. The one in Saudi Arabia that gave it citizenship. Yes. Okay. This whole AI question, Alex Jones is considering buying a robot and torturing it on air to show that it's not human, because there's sex robots now, right? There's guys that buy sex robots, and they're and it's just I think it's the beginning of the end of society. You know, we start marrying robots. What about the legalities of a person marrying a robot? So anyway, the idea is that he would torture this robot on there and gain, sure it'd be a stunt, but it would gain a lot of perspectives from different people around the world and some insight for his channel. So how would you feel about that? Is that something you might tune into if something like that happened, or would it be just too disturbing for you in some way?
Honestly, yes, it is disturbing, but would it be interesting?
But in a way, it's like torturing a toaster.
Yeah, because it's not gonna get hurt. Yeah, it doesn't have that. Scientifically, I'm speaking medical science here. Okay, there's no nerves. There's nothing that would connect to a brain that can send out pain stimulation. So, I mean, it's kind of like just me tossing my cup out, So I don't know if that's really much of a torture, or him just kind of banging his TV. It's similar, right? Like banging his TV because it wouldn't work. Back in those old days when you bang the TV because it doesn't work. So
I don't know. $1,000 TV anymore.
Oh, no, not anymore. I'm talking about those box TV with antennas. Like, oh my God, yeah. So, so it's similar to that. So I'm not sure if I would even call that as a torture, or him just playing with it.
I think it'd be interesting. I think those things may have programming in them to.
Just because, like, thinking about that, I refer to the movie iRobot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the movie. Right. So there's a borderline. Okay, is it just going to be a toaster, or is it going to have, like, AI? Yeah. Because AI, I've seen the technology on YouTube. Like, it's like they can make these robots cry. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
very human.
yeah, and having a friend who has a master's in like aerospace, they could put pain receptors in these AIs. So it's like, okay, how advanced is the AI that he's gonna beat? Because if he's gonna beat a toaster AI, then that's fine,
A robot that senses. I mean, it doesn't feel pain, but it would possibly have sensors that say
receptors in him. Pain receptors in its limbs. Yeah.
There's actually been studies that show when a robot is aware, or they make it in the programming aware that you're going to shut it off, and the robot pleads for you not to shut it off, their heart gets in there. They go, "Oh, the poor robot!" And it's a toaster. It's not.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Robot guilt tripping.
That's right. And there's also studies that show that kids, in particular, the studies were done on when robots, like when they're all doing sort of a class, and the robots give their opinion on a subject. The kids tend to feel peer pressure to go along with what the robot said. It doesn't matter what the kids actually think. They get this peer pressure thing from the robots. I think this is really dangerous. Like this is like getting crazy.
There's a gray area there. I think that's why they ban Alex Jones. I mean, I've always seen him. It's funny because Joe Rogan used to always all of them butt heads, because Joe Rogan was more into the conspiracy stuff, but he brought out the stuff that.
Alex is the conspiracy guy, and Joe's kind of against the whole conspiracy.
He was the one who's debunking, and then all of a sudden it's like, what's happening with Joe? He was kind of siding with Alex Jones and all that stuff, but this whole time they were always butting heads, right? Because he was the one conspiracy, Joe was the one who was like debunking.
If you're a Joe fan, you might want to check out his latest episodes about where he does talk about Alex and being banned from the internet, or is basically being banned from the internet. He's been under these, what do you call them, DDoS attacks, where they just spam his website. So it's like he's not only just banned off of Facebook and YouTube, they're actually spamming his website into oblivion. Yeah, and trying to take his entire platform away. Listen, I've taken enough of your time. You've given me some great answers. I appreciate it all.
Good mind tickler right there.
Yeah. I want to get people thinking, because I think I don't think we're thinking about people who tend to just want to keep the house payments going and keep the retirement care. They don't raise their kids and all that. But we got to think about some of this stuff, because it's getting pretty scary. And I think with drones going around and stuff like that.
Go to Humber.
Yeah. What was the robot's name? Pepper, you said?
Pepper. Yeah. Check out Pepper. She is literally in the front entrance. Yeah, it's a she, I think. Pepper, right? Pepper.
Check that out. Thank you very much. Have a great day. The first question is, are you aware of Alex Jones and InfoWars being banned from Facebook and YouTube?
No, I'm not.
Are you aware of who Alex Jones and InfoWars is?
No, I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm just trying to gauge how much people know. He's been around on the internet for about 22 years. Basically, what I would say about Alex Jones and InfoWars is that you have the mainstream news, which is CBC here in Canada, CTV, and in the States you got things like NBC, CBS, and all the rest of them, and the big newspapers. That's the mainstream media, and they have their own spin on things, right? Right, okay, their own spin. Alex Jones is like the counter to their spin, because there are things that they won't tell you. The mainstream media won't tell you things, and Alex Jones will tell you those things. He'll dig and do the research. A lot of people call him the fake news, but it's actually the mainstream media that's the fake news. Okay, so he's been banned recently by Facebook and Google, I think Google, Facebook and YouTube anyway, and a bunch of others. They all colluded within 12 hours to ban him completely, all his material. And he's been on the internet for 22 years. And so I was just trying to get an idea how many people are aware of that. You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say I am sure that he's a conservative. If he's been banned, right. He's a conservative. Right. 80% of all the fake news, I would say, come from Democrat, from the liberals. Right. They own everything else, the media.
The media is definitely liberally biased.
100%. Yeah. And they're all brainwashed. Unfortunately.
Alex would not agree that he's conservative. He would agree that a lot of his viewpoints are conservative. So would I about myself. But Alex would say that he's a libertarian, and he's really just a free thinker. He doesn't want to tie himself to any party or any ideology. It's like the truth. His ideology is the truth. What is the truth? And so he's always exposing that to the public. You know, he exposes the lies, like, you know, he's a 9/11 truther kind of thing. And I used to be against that stuff, but then I looked into it deeper and I thought, I found there's a lot of weird stuff going on. There's questions. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking questions. And when big outfits like the government try to shut down any questions about their doings, that's a problem. I think that's the biggest problem. The second question is, do you think it's right? Like you were just talking about conservatives being banned. Is it okay for big platforms, which are basically now like Facebook and YouTube, they're basically utilities now. They're not small businesses. They're basically utilities that everyone around the world uses. Right, and if they want to ban all conservative viewpoints, should that be allowed?
Not at all. No, no, because that means they're already forcing people into a situation where they're not free to say what they want. If they start saying no, I don't want you to write that on Facebook, and they take it away from you, and they only agree with what they want people to hear, then it isn't free.
The problem is that some people put up the argument that they're private companies; they can do what they want. Now, with regards to that, I would say, well, why didn't the baker, the Christian baker in the States, who was forced to bake a gay wedding cake, how does the reasoning work there? He lost. He was forced to bake the cake, and he just refused.
He didn't bake the cake, as far as I know.
Well, he might have got.
No. As far as I know, he didn't bake the cake, but he's not allowed to. If he does it again, the Supreme Justice agreed with him. He didn't have to bake the cake, but he said you cannot. If you're going to bake a cake for a normal wedding, you have to do it for them. So he stopped baking any wedding cakes.
I admit that I'm not 100% certain about my facts on that, although I am certain that I heard in the news just the other day that he turned away a trans wanted to make a trans cake, and he refused that. And it hasn't gone through the court yet or hasn't been charged yet. But yeah, I mean, if
he's allowed right now, he's allowed as long as he doesn't do it for a normal couple or anything, then he's allowed to refuse. Yeah.
Okay. So a company as big as Facebook or YouTube that everybody would like to use and everybody tends to use, you don't believe they should be able to ban conservative viewpoints, even though they're a private company?
Not at all. No.
So that means we're not for free enterprise anymore. In a way, I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
Is anything free? We are forced to watch CNN or Fox News, and they're telling me whatever they want. They spend hours saying Trump is this. I don't care what Trump did. I know he's doing fantastic for America. He's done amazing things. Yeah. They're complaining, why is he in power? Yeah. America put him there. Right. The voters put him there.
I have 3 daughters, and they hate Trump and stuff. But it's important to me that I don't destroy my relationship, because I've lost friends. I've lost lifelong friends over my support for Trump. And I can't do that with my daughter. So I just told him, look, I don't agree with you. We're not going to even talk about this stuff right now. What's going to happen is going to happen. So if they, it's just such a touchy thing. Anyway, the third question I want to get into here is Alex Jones is considering, first I'll start with, you've heard about artificial intelligence, AI, and Elon Musk of Tesla fame. He's made a lot of media splash about the concerns about the future of humanity, allowing AI to go unchecked. Alex Jones is in agreement. Well, this is the thing. We got to at least talk about it, right? We got to start talking about it, the dangers and things like that. And there are now artificial sex robots where guys they'll buy these robots as their sex partner kind of thing. And Alex Jones feels that's wrong. So do I. I think it destroys humanity. It's like the thin end of the wedge. So to show that these things don't have souls and it's not really a good option for people, for society, Alex is considering buying one of these robots and torturing it on air as a stunt, sure, as a stunt, but it would get the subject in the minds of the public. And I just want to ask people how they feel about that. Is that too much? Do you think? Was that too disturbing, or would it just be a real way to wake people up and get them looking at the subject?
Definitely wake up people, but I don't think it would do. I think we are so divided, just like with Trump. If you love Trump, you're going to be with Trump no matter what he does. Yeah. But if you're against him, anything goes. So I don't think it's going to change anybody's view on it. Yeah. I think, like you said, it's a robot, so it doesn't have soul. So
it's like torturing a toaster.
Exactly. So
it's a toaster that's going to cry and scream.
Is it really torturing? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, not if they don't feel it.
If they don't feel it, then it's not. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so,
I believe animals have souls.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah.
But a robot? No, it's a toaster. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're coming to a day when it seems to me we're coming to a day when machines are going to make decisions on which humans live and die. And I think that's wrong. You'll have
Really almost there.
Yeah, we're getting very close to it if we're not there already. Where security machines stationed at high secure complexes, they'll sense a human coming in that's unauthorized and they'll just shoot them. And I think that's wrong. I think we got to keep things like that.
How do you stop going forward? It's going to get worse and worse.
Well, I'm always
They're going to rule humanity.
I'm always for technology. There's technology. One technology outdoes the next technology kind of thing. And one of the things that is part of a philosophy actually that a lot of people they think they're teaching kids now that they need to be cutting back on greenhouse gases, with the planet and all that. And so to do that, we have to be austere. We have to not drive as less. We have to use less air conditioning. We have to not travel in jets. And, so we have to reduce our the wealth of our lifestyle in order to save the planet. I disagree. I think we need to innovate our way out of the trouble we put ourselves into. I don't like pollution. I don't want to pollute the planet, but we need to innovate our way out of it, not just reduce our consumption of things that make our life richer.
I think we're a little too late for that. We're almost 7 billion people. Even if we start conserving and, like you say, not using, not flying, there's another 1 billion people coming in the next 25 years. That alone, it's impossible to control it. There is no control anymore. I think I've given up thinking how that part of science can fix anything, even if you cut down on cars and everything. The amount of people coming into this world.
Remember cold fusion? I mean, what I'm getting at is that energy is free. They're scamming us all. They've been doing it for decades, telling us that we have to pay for the utility bill every month. Energy is free. Cold fusion back from the 90s, remember that? It's actually called LENR, low energy nuclear reactions. Now they've changed the name of it because cold fusion got so much bad press. You weren't allowed to talk about it.
That's truly money.
Yeah, they want to keep. They don't want to give us free energy.
For sure not.
Yeah. So right there, if we had the technology that they're hiding from us and basically treating us like slaves over, if we had that technology, then it wouldn't be polluting the planet to travel, to drive gas.
Everything is money. In today's world, everything is ruled by money. Wars, controls of people, and everything. Everything is money.
Does it have to be that way forever, do you think?
It doesn't have to be, unfortunately, but How do you change it? Like, who's going to
Expose the criminals. Expose the criminals that are keeping us in the dark.
governments?
Part of the criminal network. So is the media, as you pointed out. It's all left. It's not that I'm against liberals. It's just that they're the ones who are easiest used for this agenda that the oligarchs of this world are putting down on us. But yeah, I've got your input on all three questions, and I like your attitude, sir. I like your support of Trump. One thing I'd just like to say to you personally, not to the audience so much, is that did you like Ford getting? Yeah.
And I love that he cut down the ministry to 24 now.
Yeah, that's right. Just last week, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. I know it's great. And what as I was telling you before that I'd lost lifelong friends over Trump, my support for Trump. Some of those friends.
The love of my life. Because of Trump. She loves Obama.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. My daughters love Obama. He's probably going to face a military tribunal before the end of Trump's 8 years. But Ford, what I like about Ford, I mean, there's many things I like about Ford, but I have friends who, one friend in particular, who is against Trump. He's always been against Trump, but he's always supported Ford because he used to live in the other Rob Ford's riding, and he loved the fact that he did so much good for the taxpayers and things like that. So now that Doug Ford is in charge as the premier, he's going to find, because people hate Ford supporters almost as much as they hate Trump supporters, right? And so these people who are against Trump but for Ford, they're going to see what you and I have been living with for the last couple of years and get a better understanding of the irrational hatred that is just not really thinking on the good issues. Yeah.
Just because of he's
The TV told him to hate him.
yeah. Yes.
The TV said so.
Well, he's done things. The truth is, he's been a little bit very immoral. He's immoral. I'm sorry. That has to be.
Can you expand on that?
On that, he's being married, and he's been with this woman and that woman, and most of it is true. I don't think you can deny. He's not even denying that. But I'm not judging his personal life. I'm judging what he's doing for America. This is the first time in history, 3.8% unemployment in the U.S. The blacks that hate him, they're working. Finally, they're working.
He's actually gaining on the black. He's gaining a lot of black votes and Puerto Ricans. And I heard a statistic that said if he gets 30% of the black vote and about 20% of the Puerto Rican vote or the Hispanic, yeah, that's it. The Democrats will be like history.
Democrats need the immigrants. They need the black vote. They need the Latino vote. They need the gay vote. They need the ones that are sucking from the government as much money as possible and keeping the borders open because they need more immigrants to vote for them. Why did Hillary Clinton lose? Because she forgot that America has a lot of white voters too.
She never visited Middle America either. She just ignored flyover country. And a lot of people say, well, she won the popular vote. Well, everybody knows that the way the system works, the election system works, is it's not by the popular vote, it's by the districts. You got to win enough to. She knew that. Why didn't she go to the flyover country states? It's her own fault. So anyway, I want to get one more interview in for today, but thank you for your time and enjoy the day. Social media. Okay, this gentleman is asked to be interviewed. That's great. Okay, so the first question is, I'm just finding out how many Canadians are aware of the banning of Alex Jones and InfoWars from social media like Facebook and YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, things like that. Have you heard of that?
I listen to Alex Jones almost every day, so I'm very familiar with the whole controversy surrounding him. Basically, people don't understand that if you disagree with someone, that you don't necessarily have to shut them down on what they're saying. They should be allowed to speak their mind, and it doesn't matter if you agree with them or not. If you disagree, that's where you should have a debate. And if you have a debate and you lose, you're supposed to walk away like as if that's what it is, because you can't always win every time, especially if you don't have any real answers and you're all about your feelings and not about facts.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad you stopped me. And there are laws in the books to deal with people who if they tell lies about you, hateful lies about a person, then they can be sued. That's why they could. That's why. But anybody who puts forth a theory, we have to let them talk about their theory. Otherwise, you know what happens? You get people in power saying, "Well, you can't accuse me of a crime. You can't accuse me of this or that. That hurts my feelings. That's hate speech." And then we're in real trouble then. So this gentleman is definitely aware of everything that's going on. If I asked your significant other here, would she say the same thing?
She's understanding the same thing.
Okay, can I ask her?
Sure, go ahead.
That's okay. You can keep talking to him.
I just want to ask, do you feel the same as him, or
Um,
slightly different views?
no, I think I do for the most part. But I will agree with my husband when it comes to a lot of people allow their feelings to influence the debates or the
Right.
discussions that they are having.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do agree with him on that. And I really wish that people would, if they are going to have an opinion, to maybe do a little bit of work on it or research before, as opposed to just hearing something and interpreting it the wrong way and using their feelings as their response.
Thank you. So the second question we can move on to is with regards to conservative views being banned from a lot of these social platforms or shadow banned. What just happened to me on YouTube, where you post a video and it doesn't go out to public. It only goes out to certain of your subscribers maybe, but it doesn't go out to the public and things like that. So you think you're getting broadcast, but you're really not. It's just to a few people. That's shadow banning. But anyway, there are actual politicians, Republicans, who have been banned, shadow banned, and as well as just outright banned. So should a big company like, it's a private company, yes, but should a big company like Facebook or YouTube be allowed to limit their limit the exposure of conservatives?
Not if they agree with free speech. And that's the problem. They promote that they are for free speech, but there has clearly been incidents where there are censorship of especially conservative media, right? It's like we have a very liberal-based media, and the reason why people have a meltdown all the time because of Donald Trump is because the media told everybody every day that Donald Trump was the devil, and everybody started thinking that. We've known Donald Trump for 30 years. Nobody's had... I mean, there's going to be people who hate him. There's going to be people who think he sucks because he went bankrupt before and whatnot. But that's subjective economy. I'm sure many people did, and those people aren't just failures. And sometimes you do fail, even if you have successes. You don't just rise to the top just simply.
You guys registered 500 companies. 4 of them went bankrupt. Okay, the rest of them made money. I think that's a pretty good ratio.
But I mean, you have Donald Trump being used as like a euphemism for being rich and famous. You know, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking millions of dollars, luxuries, lifestyle." We're thinking Donald Trump. Nobody had this contempt before for Donald Trump before. And then all of a sudden, it's because the liberal media started talking about him that this whole thing happened, and all these people are having meltdowns because they think we're going into some nightmarish 1984
Hitler
because of him. Exactly, and like I said before, the media said how many times that Donald Trump is Hitler because he did this and that. Well, they did that, and they did that, and they did that, and they continued to do that for how long? And what happened? He won. He won the election.
fair and square.
So that should show you something. We all know about the whole scenario where somebody looks like they can't win, and then they do win. It's like, oh, that's commendable. But now, you know what? If Donald Trump cured cancer, they'd still say he's Hitler.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, after what, 2 years now, almost that he's been basically elected, getting close to 2 years, and people are still
Basting him. And it doesn't work. They've come up with all these scandals and everything.
Russian scandal,
Russia, the Stormy Daniels, the grabber by the expletive.
right? Which any honest guy is going to say, look, I've said worse with the guys. Why is everybody pretending that they're above saying such things? It's like, guys, man up.
It's interesting because I don't watch TV. I do have access to cable now, but when you turn on CNN, the most trusted name in the news, you'd think that the only thing going on in the world is Donald Trump, because every single thing except the late night Saturday or Sunday program has got something to do with Trump. It doesn't have anything to do with people dying, about regime changes and elections and this and that. I mean, you might hear about that a a little bit in other places, other things that are happening in the world. But every time you turn it on, it's Donald Trump. They're talking about it. You look at The View, which is obviously a liberal show. The people are like, okay, yeah, this happened. So is this going to get Donald Trump removed? Every time that happens, it's like they just think it's, some nail in the coffin that they're going to get rid of him. But does it really look like he's being rid of? No, it doesn't. He's not facing criminal charges. He's not facing impeachment. All these things are not bringing up anything against him. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm for Donald Trump. I would vote for Donald Trump, this and that. I'm somebody with an opinion who never actually said anything about Donald Trump winning, but I wasn't surprised if he was going to win because they had this campaign to slander him, and nobody wanted Hillary. And the people who did not want Hillary the most, they know about the crimes that have been committed by her. They know about, all types of things that have happened in this scenario with her before the election, and then all this.
I just want to interject when you talked about CNN being the most honest news. I know you're joking.
The Clinton News Network.
Clinton News Network, yeah. I often have debates with people and my friends and stuff like that, and they think, oh, the news doesn't lie to us. There's still a picture, they call it the gigapixel on CNN's online network. So you go to CNN, you look up gigapixel of the inauguration ceremony, and remember how they were saying to everybody that, nobody showed up for the inauguration. It was like half of Obama's kind of thing. Yeah. Well, it was not. It was full, and they were actually keeping people out. Crowds of people were chained together, keeping people out. But it wound up being full anyway, and it's in the gigapixel on CNN's own website. In the gigapixel, you can zoom in with this picture, and it shows that the mall, whatever that mall is called, was full. Absolutely right full to the back. So right there you have rock-solid black and white proof that they were, in photographic proof that it was a lie by CNN that the ceremony was not attended by Americans. It's just that the lies are just getting so ridiculous, and people don't research anymore. They just accept what the mainstream says, and they don't look any further. And it's like they can just get away with murder. And it's if we don't turn this around, it's going to be really bad. Third question, you want to catch up with your wife, I'm sure. Third question is, Alex Jones has toyed or considered the idea regarding AI. Like, I think it's something we really have to be careful about, artificial intelligence. And they don't have a soul. Robots don't have a soul. But a lot of people, there's these sex robots now and things like that where guys actually use that as a mate. I think it's the beginning of the end of society, it's not a good thing. Alex is toying with the idea of buying a robot, one of these sex robots, I guess, or a robot, and torturing it on air. Sure, it would be a big media splash and all that. Yeah, to make a point about them not having souls, and it's like destroying a toaster. So what?
It's off the value of life.
Yeah. So would you think that's a decent idea, or is that just too much? Is it too disturbing to some people, you think?
It's too disturbing to the people who are offended, and everybody's offended these days because they've been taught to. They're not tough anymore. They don't know how to handle anything, right?
With the banning that's going on with him right now, it would put him in the spotlight, though, and things like Google and YouTube, or not Google, well, Google too, YouTube and Facebook, they would be on the outskirts now looking in when he's got this spotlight on him on a controversial subject. I kind of like the idea myself.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely raise a lot of eyebrows. And the thing is, people have to realize when somebody does something drastic, there's a point behind it. It's not just, okay, well, you did this crazy thing, so you're just crazy. Right. It's like some people light themselves on fire because they're protesting about how some people are dying in other countries. Yeah. It's not nice, but there's a point to it. Yeah. It's not about, oh, well, look, I'm on fire. That's not the point. Right. It's about, I did this for a reason. Right, so people should be calmer when they look at things and try and understand it and try and look at it from multiple viewpoints and stop thinking that it's either right or wrong. Sometimes both people on the sides of the argument, or on either side of the argument, are in the wrong. Sometimes both of them are right. There may be 50% or 60% factors that they have that are right and 40% of them wrong, and then the other person might be 70% right and 30% wrong for whatever different reason, you know what I mean? So people got to stop looking to see who's bigger and or who just doesn't have a clue, and who's the smartest and who's the stupidest. That's what people look at debate now, you know what I mean? They don't, or they look at things and decide, it's on the good side or the bad side, and nobody just looks at something and weighs it out and says, well, yeah, there's all types of aspects to this whole situation and look into it, right? It's called being pragmatic. It's not saying, look what's happening. It's about looking at why it's happening
Right.
and dealing with that.
I think if Alex was here, he'd probably ask you, what do you think would be the best way or a way to deal with the banning that he's under?
Well, word of mouth is always the best advertisement, as we know, and he's getting the message out because I mean now his Twitter is bigger than CNN's Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And all this stuff. So he hasn't had to try too hard. You know, he's just telling the truth. And the thing is, the people who are trying to destroy him are only making him more popular. It's like the Streisand effect, right?
That's right.
You know, people are saying, "Oh yes, this person's bad." Then everybody goes, looks him up, and says, "Wait a minute, he's talking the truth." And it's funny how people know the mainstream media lies these days. I was the type of person who talked about this stuff, you know, over 20 years ago, and people thought I was crazy. Now everybody knows the media lies, and you know, you can be searched by your cell phone and all this stuff, and electronic tracking and all that stuff. You know, it's common knowledge. Everybody knows that, you know. But before it was unthinkable, right? You know, we have people microchipping their pets, you know. And this is a word for people when they start doing stuff to humans or to animals, they start doing it to people. You know,
Us, yeah.
and now we're in a society that, you know, we're eliminating language, you know, through political correctness and stuff. You know, it's basically book burning, and there's a saying that where they burn books, they burn people. So you got to keep your eyes out for when they start trying to tell you not to listen to this or not to listen to that, and be open to everything and take in all types of knowledge, whether it's on your side or it's not.
I couldn't agree more. I think the more knowledge you come in, you can reject what you don't like, but to tell someone they can't give their opinion or give their view on a certain subject, that's where the real danger is.
You know what? The other person's view, that's something that you actually have to deal with. Whether they're right or wrong, that exists. That's part of life. Right. What it is something that's in contrary to you. So, like I said before, people think that it's all about if everything's on your side, and everything that's not on your side, you just throw it to the wayside. But it's all about fitting into a world where everything doesn't go in your favor. You know, where somebody might be more powerful than you. Somebody might be oppressing you. That's life.
You got to deal with these things.
You're supposed to be strong, and you're supposed to be the bigger person. And I like in this whole new age liberalism where everybody wants to protest and scream and insult people and stuff. It's like, okay, well, so if everything is sexist, racist, homophobic, are you solving the problem by screaming and name calling?
Labeling people, yeah.
Or are you really showing the spirit of togetherness and friendliness and openness to people and being able to talk with people in a calm, rational manner? You know, no matter what the situation is, you know, but people don't understand that about just being calm, cool, and collected in a certain situation when the odds are against you, you know.